Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Free Agents podcast. Back again for some more pre-agents. Yet again here, talking some more fresh meat. Part 3 today. We're getting into the next 4 episodes of the season. So excited to get into it all. More insanity happening out there in the fresh meat house. Of course, I am Matt here alongside Brian Scally. Scally, what's up?
Hello. I'm good. I'm excited to jump in here talking about quite a few eliminations here. One more than usual.
One more than usual, but not because of any more episodes, because
No.
sometimes when you play with really bad injuries, you do end up being forced to go home.
Yeah. Thank God sometimes they do.
Sometimes. Also, we'll be talking, of course, about some of these exiles. I mean, it's pretty rare you see players start off their challenge career with, as of this point, a 5-0 elimination record. Kind of insane. So we'll talk about the Wes and Casey of it all, which, of course, Wes has been a very big character so far. And hey, he's still here going into the next part. So still, again, so much going on here.
Yeah, so much. So let's get into it.
No, I don't want to.
Okay, well then what else do you want to talk about?
Well, so I went on a walk before. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. I could talk about movies. I know you love movies.
Yeah, you have the wrong half of this house on that podcast. Well, wait, no, I had, yeah, what a great start to the podcast. I had something else that I wanted to get into from the top, but I am completely forgetting it. Maybe it was just the idea that, we came into the last part so hot about how awful Wes is. And of course, that hasn't changed a whole lot here, but it did feel like he took a little bit of a step back from being in the spotlight of the season.
Because he didn't get thrown in one time, maybe. Like, he still sucks when he is shown.
Yeah, no. Definitely sucks. And even like throwing out some like words and phrases throughout this batch. Not that he wasn't doing that already, but like even worse. So, but just a little less of it being in our face. I don't know. We'll talk about it. Episode 9.
Episode 9, yes. Opening on Tina and Kenny talking about how they're avoiding exile at all costs. They're kind of knowing their number is coming at some point. They're being viewed as one of the weaker teams. It's been very much a merit-based voting once the Austin cast has been decimated.
Yeah, I still don't really understand. I mean, I also acknowledge that it's hard to separate the Tina and Kenny that I guess like I have in my minds of like really strong challengers compared to whatever this perception seemingly was of them not being super strong back then. Maybe Tina not as connected as we thought she was within this cast, within this group, whatever the case was. But they are clearly somewhat on the outs. Tina's talking about at least Kenny is like a good partner for her, gets her back in the game. They have a good back and forth. Did you see Kenny's hat, by the way?
I did not. What was it?
His hat said, "Show me your boobs."
Okay. Better than what I assume is a hat that he'd be wearing these days. So
yeah.
At least a little better.
True. A little early for that one, but anyway, Coral and Evan are talking as we were teasing a little bit earlier, and we'll continue to until we actually get to it. Evan still hasn't told Coral or anybody about his hernia.
Yeah, he's actively hiding it. The pain is getting worse. The bulge is getting worse. And he knows that he might have to quit. But no need to clue in your teammate on that at all. Don't need to tell anybody in this house.
And only makes it worse when, tell me again, you saw in the last part, or you heard in the last part, me not being able to tell exactly who somebody was because we saw the back of their head or their body as this person was peeing. We think it was Kenny. Was Evan the one that was wrestling with Wes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Evan is wrestling with Wes, just throwing him around. Yeah, not supposed to pick up heavy objects like, I don't know, let's say 160-pound Wes and throw him around the room. But of course, Evan cannot stop himself and goes as hard as possible during this wrestling match still.
It's not even as though Evan is not aware of like how bad this could get for him if he does something to injure himself even further. He acknowledges as much in one of these episodes before he gets taken out, which, spoiler alert, is going to happen. He talks about, yeah, this could kill me, but he makes a statement saying that like the chances of me winning this challenge are higher than the chances of this injury killing me.
Yeah. Well, look at that. Let's just
perspective.
Say, whatever. I could die, but it's not that likely. Who cares?
Ridiculous. Between all of the amidst all of this wrestling, Katie's also going to get involved, ends up wrestling with Wes a little bit, and both of them end up in the pool. But of course, we're going to get some more of Katie's thoughts because Katie is going to be going home in this round. So
yeah,
hearing
tough
more
for
about their
Katie.
dynamic. Yeah.
I was glad at least we got to see like a little bit of old Katie, just like, I'll wrestle anybody, let's go. Just her getting thrown around by Wes here. He pulls her into a pool. Katie's still fun. Just show her more.
Yeah, I'm like very glad she's obviously not going anywhere anytime soon, even all the way to like All Stars to today. She's around, but I'm just like, this is such a big name in my mind from the show, from this, from these seasons. And it's been like 2 seasons in a row of just kind of quiet.
Well, because when Katie is super active on the show, it's because everyone's being really mean to her and voting her in all the time. And right now they're being nice to her, and so she's like able to just be a normal person, whereas usually she's like, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna rebel you, like, because she's getting picked on all the time.
I'm just like imagining Veronica at home on like the interviews of whatever they're calling her up for. I don't know, there's no podcast at the time, being like, oh yeah, Katie's barely relevant anymore because I'm not there.
Yeah, I mean, it is probably being said.
Anyway, let's go to SeaWorld, ? And play with the sharks, or play within the sharks pond, and that'll be a fun time.
Yep, swimming with sharks. We're going to jump in the lagoon at this aquarium. Go ahead and retrieve puzzle pieces, complete puzzles on a floating frame. And this is very difficult.
Now that I said that, so they did have a sign that said SeaWorld. Is there a SeaWorld in Australia? Because that's where they are. It
was SeaWorld Australia.
Yeah. It says it's closed. I don't know if that means permanently or just right now. Well, probably right now, because I imagine it's nighttime in Australia.
Yeah, usually it says permanently closed.
Okay, yeah. So SeaWorld in Australia. I guess I didn't know there was more than one, let alone one in Australia, but I don't know anything about SeaWorld besides some of the bad stuff. Anyway, they have to swim within this shark's lagoon and get their puzzle pieces out, eventually put the puzzle pieces together within this frame that is also floating in the water. And some teams, sure, get it done. Some teams, terrified of the sharks, don't want to get bit. And there you have it.
Yeah. What do you think? Too dangerous?
I mean, I guess, I almost want to say, obviously not, if this is cleared by SeaWorld, by the people who know the sharks better than anybody else. But it's the kind of thing where, when they start putting snakes on you and stuff, and it's like, okay, you can tell me this is fine, but everything that I've learned in my life up until this point tells me this is not fine.
Yeah. So I looked this up. And there are multiple different tanks at SeaWorld. This is actually something that if you wanted to do, at least back in the day, I don't know if it's still offered, you could go pay to do, you could swim in this tank. And that's because there are multiple tanks where the dangerous sharks are kept over here, and they're actually swimming in a very benign, not dangerous at all tank. There may be some I don't know, nurse sharks, but all those shots of those big, scary, bull sharks or whatever else are there, yeah, they're not in there with them.
Did you say nurse shark?
Yeah, that's a thing.
It is?
There's
wait, in the same definition of what a nurse is for us?
I mean, they don't treat people medically.
Well, what do they do?
It's just the name.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if it was named that because they're the
I'm not saying there's
sharks.
I'm not nurse sharks and doctor sharks.
That's kind of where I thought this was.
There's
going.
the fireman shark, and there's it wasn't a job title, it was a species.
Okay, I didn't know that. I was asking for clarification for.
Yeah, Katie's terrified, and the sharks are trying to patch her up during this challenge. Why is that shark touching Evan's groin so much?
To know where they got their schooling is all.
SeaWorld Australia, much more ethical. They put their sharks through college.
Well, it's all starting to make sense now. Anyway, so Wes and Casey timeout, not going to be the first challenge in this section that they do not complete. Many more to come. Some funny stuff going on with Tina and Kenny. Kenny says that he hopes that Tina gets bit before he does, and Tina makes fun of him back, saying that Italian guys can't swim. I don't know that I've heard that before, but
I don't know that I've heard it either.
sure. Katie and Big Easy not doing great. Katie ends up quitting with like 3 minutes still left. A lot of teams also just didn't finish. Katie didn't seem like they were getting anywhere close to finishing, and she wanted out of the Nurse Shark Tank.
Yeah, the only teams to actually finish are Shane and Lynette, Darrell and Aviv, and Theo and Shonda. There is just apparently this is not timed very well. They have a 10-minute time limit, and most of the teams don't even come particularly close in that time.
Do you care about the fact that every challenge this season is a time-based event?
I mean, not really. No.
No, I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, do I care? I'm like, no, not really. They're all different challenges. They're just all measured based on time, whatever.
A lot of them are interesting enough to keep my attention. Yeah. Even if like they're done in heats and stuff, like, they go fast enough.
And the beauty of a 21-minute episode is they're done within 7 minutes. The whole challenge is over.
That is true. If not faster.
I mean, we're coming out of a week where we just watched, the challenge 41, and, it takes up like 35 minutes of the episode.
I was going to say, yeah,
more.
Get that challenge over with.
Yeah. Anyway, so besides those three that you mentioned did well, I also just have to flag up Coral was telling us that while she was in the water, she just sat down on the coral in the water.
Yes, she did.
Evan's not going to quit though. He didn't want to, sit this one out. We'll get to the ones that he is going to have to sit out. But Darrell and Aviv, third place. Theo and Shonda, second place. Shane and Lynette, first place. And they're going to have to pick a team to go in. And of course, Wes and Casey, right? We're just going to keep going with the same order.
Yeah, not so much. So much.
Changing the game here.
Yeah, they feel bad.
Yeah, Wes and Casey get a little bit of a break here, and instead they're going to base it off performance, and Katie quit. So Big Easy and Katie, who I guess have also been performing not the best all around, you're going in.
Yeah, it's been their time. They kind of talked about how they knew this was a possibility early on, and so Katie and Eric, I feel like we had forecasted as a potential nominee for some time now. I think they probably thought they were going to end up going like in the vote against Wes and Casey, but no, they get straight up nominated.
Yep. But who is going to get the votes here? That's going to end up being, as we got the little bit of highlight on them earlier, Tina and Kenny. A lot of people have been wanting to put Tina and Kenny in. Aviv talks about that she likes them both, so she's not dying to do this. Darrell and Aviv, Coral and Evan end up at the backside of the vote, so the votes had already been piling on, and there's not much to do at that point, but continue piling on. I think it was just Tina and Kenny that voted differently.
Oh, yeah, just Tina and Kenny. Actually, when we say a unanimous vote, we usually mean everyone but the team voted for them. But actually, big point of contention because even Kenny voted for Tina and Kenny on this one.
Yep. I forgot about that.
Tina immediately freaks out, walks out of the room like, what the hell is wrong with you, you stupid idiot? Like, I'm done with you. Yeah, she's frustrated. She doesn't feel like Kenny treats her like an equal in this partnership, which is interesting because I feel like for the most part, the discussion is the vets are playing the game and the rookies really get no say. But apparently Kenny is, I control this thing.
I mean, so 3 votes come in before they cast their vote. There's now 6 votes on them because, again, everybody votes individually. Tina's going to try to get something going to vote Wes and Casey. And then Kenny jumps in to place vote number 7 on Tina and Kenny. And Tina's like, you have to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
The funniest part for me about all of this is slightly still unprofessional TJ Lavin when Katie and Big Easy are going to join back into the room and TJ officially presents the nominees for today, Katie and Big Easy on one side and Tina and Kenny on the other. He's just like giggling to himself and he looks over at Katie and Big Easy. He's like, you guys just missed a really funny moment. Kenny sent himself in. It was great. You should have been there.
I love TJ the gossip.
He's too funny.
He is very silly. Even in one of these episodes, we get like a montage of just random TJ moments where he's also like making fun of some of the teams. Like he's like, Wes and Casey coming in last again, just like they always do. They never do well at this. Like he will read you.
He is, yes, very funny all the way early on. And he's still going to do this all the way till today. But I would say like the version of it today is either more polished, or maybe he even takes himself more seriously, or the show wants to take him more seriously in most of the show. So when he is a little sillier, it stands out more now.
Yeah, that's fair.
But anyway, so yeah, Wes and Casey not picked to go into elimination, but we're not in the clear yet. One of the teams could win the pardon in the next challenge and then end up sending Wes and Casey in. So we'll see about that. Secret scene in this episode was not great.
No, say more.
Well, we got this far with all the bad names and words that Wes has been using, and I know it's a different time, but still an R word dropped. And again, I know it's a different time. But Evan's talking about, he is telling this stupid story about, I met a woman named Violet once, a large woman who taught me how to do some penis exercises, he says.
Oh, yes. Evan was apparently having some problems with maybe arriving too early.
Yeah.
And so
Someone helped.
Yes. See, I thought it was Theo that used that word.
I did think it was Wes, but either of them could be candidates here.
Yeah.
Again, different time, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, episode 10, we're going straight into our night out here at a place called the Cheeky Monkey. Sounds like
fun. I took note of this too.
Cheeky Monkey. Cheeky.
I would go to the Cheeky Monkey.
Yeah, looks fun. And speaking of Evan, he is going to enter a fun little contest.
Oh, they're going to say, speaking of cheeky, yeah, Evan gets on stage where everyone is told they have to remove a piece of clothing. They have to blow up a condom, like a balloon. And Evan ends up, ever competitive, taking it home.
Yeah, he wanted to beat out all the local drunks at a little contest here, and he did. Now, when he said this wasn't smart, was he talking about because he had to take his shirt off?
I don't know.
I mean, he made it seem like he was kind of hiding this, and like it was like he says the bulge is getting bigger on his whatever that area was. And I thought he was like trying to hide it by literally like, being covered up. But then when he had his shirt off, I was like, I can't really see anything. I guess maybe it would have to be a little bit lower.
Yeah, definitely was lower.
Pull the shorts down a little bit. I don't know. Whatever. So there is that. As we're getting ready for the next challenge, we have a scene of Wes talking to Big Easy. Wes wants Big Easy and Katie to stay, so he's going to give them a little bit of some tips and some info on how the exile really works.
Yeah, there's a little bit of this. Okay, maybe if Katie and Eric come back, we can do a little coup with the weaker teams, because Katie and Eric don't want to continuously get voted in. We don't want to continuously get voted in. What if I help them, they come back, and we vote in the strong teams?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Of course, there's plenty of strong teams that have been getting them into elimination every time. Coral and Evan, Theo and Shonda. So, if we can kind of come together, this could work. Wes, ever the gamer. Funny, though, because Tina ends up finding out that Big Easy got tipped off about the elimination. And, oh, is she not happy?
No, yeah. Tina's like, hey, I'm a weak team that would vote in these strong teams. she's more aligned with these strong teams is the thing.
And Tina's all pissed off. She's venting to Kenny about it, and Kenny drops one of the early, this is why you've never won the challenge.
Yeah. Kenny has some sass.
Just a bit, especially with somebody he's very comfortable with, and that is the case here.
Yep.
Let's talk about Human Ox Pull, the next challenge.
Human Ox Pull, we are going to have to split these teams into two. A little draft does happen where those two larger teams are going to pull sleds that I think each sled totals out to about 850 pounds with the hay on it, 100 meters. And then whichever team wins will move on to phase 2, where then the pairs will have to pull an empty sled, which still weighs 350 pounds, the same 100 meters. Whoever wins gets 1 year of Netflix and a flat screen TV.
Hell yeah. Remember when Netflix was just like, a service that sent you DVDs, or the boxes at 7-Eleven that you could go get your DVD in person?
Probably cost $3 a month.
What a good prize. TJ sounded like he wanted to keep it for himself, which, why not? But this challenge seemed like a worthwhile challenge. And then you remember, oh yeah, there's a guy with a hernia here, and he was told not to lift heavy things, use a lot of, force or exert that much energy, especially where it will affect that area. And he is one of 8 members on a team that have to pull a lot of weight.
He is harnessed up, which is probably not good for. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, or a nurse shark, but I don't have. I think that a tight groin harness is probably the best. I know it's probably mostly pulling on his shoulders, but he is all out pulling. I'm like, guy, this is a team challenge that all you get is Netflix. Like, again, it's probably $3 a month at this point. You should not be trying this hard when this is not even like your individual heat yet.
No, this isn't. We're not at the final. Like, relax. You don't need to win this. I
Yep.
mean, of course, everyone's concerned they want to win, so they don't get thrown in, whatever. But the team that Evan's on, it's himself and Coral, Big Easy and Katie, Derek and DM, Shane and Lynette, and they're actually off to a pretty good start. But it does seem like we can attribute the fact that they fall behind and ultimately lose to the fact that Evan, one of their strongest team members, at some point feels like he's going to puke, and he says that it feels like he blew a nut, which not the good way,
I don't know. I don't need anyone blowing nuts on this challenge right now.
Oh well, they are just they're not on screen at the moment, but yeah, he ends up in a lot of pain. Obviously, Coral also at some point feels like her kneecap popped out of place. More on that shortly. So this team falls apart. Theo and Shonda, Darrell and Aviv, Kenny and Tina, Wes and Casey end up winning the first heat and moving on into the second heat, where things pick up a little bit as far as the drama is concerned rather than the pain, because yet again, Wes and Casey are not going to do a challenge, and Wes is going to blame Casey and tell us how much Casey sucks at life.
It's so annoying because Casey's genuinely trying, and look, is she good at it? Absolutely not. But she is trying, and then Wes consistently just is like, "That's it. I'm not gonna do it by myself. Casey sucks. I'm not doing the challenge. I quit." But it was Casey's fault. Casey's the one who quit because she's so bad. It's like, Wes, you're constantly just walking off of the set, like very often.
It is so silly. He's just telling us, like you just said, this is all Casey's fault. Like, don't look at me and say that I'm the quitter. You are quitting. Like, you are actively walking away from the challenge. I understand you're not going to win because Casey is not going to perform very well at this. She's struggling a lot. Of course, you can also add on the very obvious point of Wes is a horrible partner to her. Not even 2 seconds of motivation, just automatically going to how much she sucks and yelling at her and berating her and all this kind of stuff. So instead of trying, he just gives up. And that leaves us with the other 3 teams, Theo, Shonda, Tina, and Kenny, Darrell, and Aviv, to continue on pulling these really heavy, basically like a heavy pallet. Darrell and Aviv end up getting the win.
Yeah, look at Darrell and Aviv getting their first win of the season, and all that flat screen TV that everyone was so obsessed with back in the day.
If only Darrell knew, a couple seasons later, maybe many years later, he's also going to get a lot of Burger King.
That is true.
Flat screen, Netflix, Burger King. Of course, this man's made a career on this show. Anyway, so yeah, Coral and her kneecap not doing great. She ends up being told to, that she's going to get taken to the hospital. Now, you don't want to laugh at anything going on related to injuries. I had a hard time not laughing when Evan got in the vehicle with Coral and basically said, "I just want to go with you for moral support," rather than "I need to go to the hospital myself and get my hernia checked out."
We're literally on the way to the hospital in an ambulance, and Evan's like, "Yeah, I'm just going to support you." Like, "I'm fine. Don't worry about it." To the point where he carries her, like, newly married couple over the door frame, carries her into the hospital. I'm like, "Evan, this is bad. What are you doing?"
So stupid. I mean, look, do we find out much throughout his career that this man is stupid? Yeah, we do.
He is
But
literally 20 years old. And I think that's something the challenge is missing now, is stupid 20-year-olds.
Yeah, I mean, now we get young Cedric, who's not that stupid.
No. He's not stupid at all. Like, that is the thing. We have, maybe some stupid 30-year-olds, but stupid 30-year-olds are still generally going to be smarter than stupid 20-year-olds.
Yeah, but also, I don't need the stupid 20-year-olds if they're going to be as, Evan and Kenny as Evan and Kenny are. And
fine. That's not what I was saying.
I know. I'm just, I don't know. I sometimes, like, I do feel like the ages that we've gotten to with some of the challengers just make more sense, but I don't know. Bigger discussion for another day. Anyway, Evan says that his hernia is getting noticeably worse, obviously, according to the doctor. And the doctor is telling him it's game over, but Evan isn't sure if he's going to listen to that advice or not. It's not really advice at this point, but he doesn't know that yet.
It's hemorrhaging. Like, okay, we've gotten to another point. Like, it's bleeding, guys. Like, let's maybe take note of this. But Evan's like, no, I'm gonna keep competing. Actually, my doctor said it's fine. It's like that's literally not what he said.
What else can we even say about it? Let's go to the exile. Katie and Eric versus Kenny and Tina. And let me see what the weight is between these two teams. Again, according to Wikipedia, Katie and Eric had 216 pounds. Tina and Kenny had 164 pounds. Pretty big difference.
Yeah. Big difference. Katie is struggling to even carry the one bag. She's dragging it behind her. She's a tiny person.
She is. And that's a lot of weight to be carrying.
Yeah.
Ultimately ends up where Big Easy is taking basically all of it, right? He, I think, takes literally every
Yep.
bag. So
And he does really well. He is keeping up very well with all four bags, but unfortunately, there's no forgetting of the flags here. There's no like issues. Everyone solves all of the puzzles.
yeah,
And
for the
Tina
first
and Kenny
time.
just, yeah, exactly. Tina and Kenny just pull a little bit ahead.
Now, I have a question. I could just be dumb as well. I'm not 20, but I could be dumb. They, in the last checkpoint, the advantage was you can take 2 minutes off your total time. What does
Sure.
that mean?
Like, let's say that Tina and Kenny finished without that advantage, and then Katie and Eric finished after them with that advantage. Then, if they had finished within 2 minutes after them, they would have technically won.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
I'm just like sitting here like, obviously, like one of you are going to get to the finish line. So basically you just had 2 extra minutes to get like, or I guess 1 minute and 59 seconds after the first team checked in that you could have still won the challenge.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That just, I feel like that wasn't the best way to explain it, or I'm dumb. I don't know, but
You're putting the other team like on pause. Like, let's say Katie and Eric had already finished it and Tina and Kenny like get to the finish line. Like, they basically should have been like, you have to stand here for 2 minutes.
right. That's what
like,
it should have been. That would have made more sense. I would have been able to picture it a little bit
yeah,
more clearly.
visually.
Yeah, but whatever. So congratulations to both teams for solving the puzzles, but unfortunately for Katie and Big Easy, it's not enough. They are eliminated from the show here. And I know you've, again, had a lot of good things to say. It has been fun in the little glimpses that we saw of them, but that's it for now.
Yeah, fun team. Definitely a fun team. Both luckily have more seasons coming ahead of them. So happy we got to see their dynamic here. And I think we'll get glimpses of it in the future.
Yep. Katie still has 4 seasons to go in her flagship run,
Woo.
but she won't be back until 3 seasons from now. Big Easy will be back next season. And then he'll be back for 5 more seasons in total before we get to All Stars.
There we go.
Plenty more to go with them, but let's go back to the house where Tina and Kenny are back there. Coral and Evan are still at the hospital. Coral actually had to be transferred to a different hospital because she needed to get somewhere where the right equipment was. So that was tough. Eventually, they do get back to the house in episode 11. Evan talks about how he's been vomiting from the pain, but he doesn't want to quit. Derek is, I guess, speaking for the rest of the house, saying that they're aware that he's underplaying his injury because he doesn't want to quit. But Coral can't really hide it as much because she's on crutches when she gets back.
Yeah, she's been gone for quite some time. The hospital is another hour and a half away. So she's probably been gone for half a day at this point. Comes back. She's limping into the house. Her patella has moved completely out of place and back in by the doctors. So most people know immediately this is going to be a longer recovery time than one day.
Yeah, and let's just close up the story here on the two of them because there's one more thing before we get to the challenge. But anyway, when we get to the challenge, TJ is going to announce to the group, and he says as much. He's like, I don't know how to say this to you guys. just say it, TJ. You guys can't compete anymore. It's time to go home. The doctors say that you guys are out. Evan has a very shocked reaction, which I was so alarmed by. Like, you don't want to quit. I get that. You are an idiot. But like the fact that you're surprised that the doctors are pulling you from the game is wild. They even like get into it a little bit with one of the producers, like arguing with the producer that they want to stay.
Yep. Evan shocked. Coral says bullshit. Coral has never been eliminated from a show before. She has made it to the final every single time. Super impressive record from Coral, but unfortunately an injury or 2 injuries are really taking them out here. It just seemed so obvious from our perspective, but can you remind me, has anyone been removed for an injury from the challenge before this?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know if I have a super easy way of looking at that right now. Off the top of my head, I kind of want to say no.
I can't remember one, and it's bad because we literally just watched all of them. But someone will remind us, obviously, if that is the
Well,
case.
I
But
kind of can if we just keep stalling while we talk, because I have my little spreadsheet and the color is pink
okay.
for you got medically evacuated, and I'm not seeing any pink on seasons 1 through 11.
Yeah, and I don't think that there was even like a I'm too hurt to continue. We had what was it, Amaya like hurt her leg and was struggling through some. Beth in like season 2 was refusing to do any of the challenges, but no one
Yeah.
actually left.
You want to look back at the people who have left outside of elimination reasons? Joe, last season, we had Stephen Hill, who got DQ'd for hitting Shane. Cameron Eubanks, I marked her as a quitter because she
That's
quit
fine.
in
Yeah,
that
that's
one.
fair.
And before that, not. Oh, Ayana in season 4, of course, with that whole
Yeah.
dispute and situation.
I mean,
But yeah, this
I
does
get
seem
why
like
they're like,
DQ.
this is something we haven't had to do before. So even though it seems so blatantly obvious to us, it's still new territory from them of like, when do we call it?
Yeah.
I think the answer was a couple weeks ago on Evan, but
Yes.
he's insisting there is a better chance they win the final than this hernia hurts him permanently, even though there literally is a chance for death.
And you really want to test that? Like, that's really
Yeah.
anyway. Theo and Shonda were sad to be losing their strong allies. Wes was talking about them as like a pair, or a pair of pairs a little bit earlier on. So obviously seems like they were a little bit linked and they were looking out for one another. So that's tough. I do want to, before we get too far, just say how devastating this is to lose Coral at this point in the season. She's obviously one of the stars of the show. She's on our Mount Rushmore. I don't think she's going anywhere from this season, but I don't know yet. She has, just to speak on Coral, she has one more season to go. It's 3 seasons from now, and that's not really going to be the best season either. Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but like the best days with Coral really are behind us, and that is so sad. Like this was like the last like real good opportunity to get like some worthwhile
Yeah.
stuff. Maybe there's some more in the next season, but I feel like I remember it just not being as good.
Yeah, I think if Coral had stuck around as a regular cast member, she probably does a little better. Let's say she shows up to the duel and she shows up to, every challenge regularly, then maybe this goes better. But unfortunately for Coral, I do think this is the last great run.
Yeah. So there's that. If you are a patron of the podcast, you've heard we've been giving some updates on Coral on our bonus shows every week. Well, not every week we're talking about Coral, but when there's stuff to talk about. She's been doing a lot of lives on various social media apps, just kind of like talking through a bunch of questions she gets from the fans. So been interesting to get the modern day updates on Coral. But again, only one more season that we have with her, and it'll be 3 seasons from now. That's that. Evan will be back next season. That's something. 5 more seasons. 5 more seasons before we're done with Evan. Spread out a little bit.
Yeah. So
there's that. But let's get back to what's happening in this house. A little bit of an alliance, or at least a friendship seemed to be formed. Definitely more friendship than alliance between Lynette, Aviv, and DM.
Lynette, Aviv, and DM, they've become really close. They're talking about how, I think mostly from Aviv's perspective, it's not really fair how this game is played. It's not said extremely explicitly, but I think it's because the vets control all of the politics. Like, even though these 3 are super close, they've said apparently that they will not throw each other in, but they're not really controlling the direction of the game all that much. And that is unfortunate for them.
This scene was crazy to me only because we are currently watching the challenge vets and new threats where Aviv is on the other side of the vets. She is a vet and not a new threat. And the rookies are getting together on season 41 and they are trying to overtake the vets. And you have here Aviv, a new threat by, the definition of fresh meat here. With the exact same mindset of let's try to run the game the way that we want to rather than the way that the vets are. It's so funny.
Funny that she's always on the wrong side of things. Like here, she can't control anything, and she comes back, and the new threats are actually being pretty successful at the time of recording. So, yeah.
Yeah. So it just, I'm paying a lot of attention to Aviv because after this, I won't get a chance to until the challenge 40. So there's
Literally.
it's so insane. So now that, by the way, Coral and Evan are gone, TJ tells us the final of the season is only going to have 3 teams instead of 4. So we're still going to go into a normal round of challenge and elimination, and that starts with batten down the hatches.
Batten down the hatches. There is a boat suspended in midair with 2 ladders hanging down, one on either side. You have to make your way down the ladder, touch the last rung, and then swing your ladder towards your partner, trade ladders, climb back up into the boat.
And not to just keep talking about the challenge 41, but did we not just this week in real time watch a big ladder in the water? So just the
Okay.
parallels. Crazy.
Yeah, I liked this challenge a lot, actually. I thought visually it was very cool and simple enough. I liked it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for those that go early that actually compete, as in Tina and Kenny, because all the flailing around that Tina was doing, eventually you realize that you just kind of have to kick the ladder out a little bit. Your partner catches it, and then you're going to be good. Tina and Kenny end up finishing in just about double the time all the rest of the teams do, but
Yeah.
at least they competed, unlike Wes and Casey.
You do have Wes who's just like, well, Casey can't do this. I quit. I'm done because Casey's fault. Casey, she lost this for us. It's like, well, you're the one who just elected to quit, but sure. It was very funny, I though will say, with seeing Casey sit on the bottom rung of the ladder and try to use her hands to propel her forward as if she was swimming in water. It was really funny.
Yes, good visual. But what is this? 3, 4, 7 challenges in a row that Wes and Casey are quitting ahead of
Yeah.
time. And I also like a little bit understand the idea of let's save our energy for the elimination because we know we're going to end up going in. Obviously, they didn't last time. They are going to this time. But like, I don't know. That's just you're missing out on all the Netflix.
This is not elimination day. This is the day before. And this is also not a guarantee that Wes and Casey are going in. They have some potential of not. So I don't really get it here.
Yeah. But we're going to be highlighting in this challenge and the next one a team that's certainly been on our screens, but not necessarily because of the way that they've been competing. Derek and DM are going to be, they haven't been doing so hot, as Derek points out, but in this one, they are going to be doing pretty well. They finish in first place.
Yep. It was even a discussion of we have not been doing well. There's a chance we get thrown in because of our performances if this is merit based. But nope, they come through just at the right time, actually win the challenge. I was super happy to see it. And now they have to decide we won this challenge. Who are we putting in?
And apparently, Derek, I don't even know like what name to give him. I was going to say like Bananas. I don't know who's like,
Oop.
a good strategist of the time. Bananas obviously isn't there yet, but just like whatever. Derek tries to come out as like this, big person with his head in the game, not just, the pit bull that we've seen him as for a couple of seasons, and says, I want to think this through and make the correct decision that makes the most sense. And in his mind, that's to go Shane and Lynette, who have been a sneaky good team. But of course, we just talked about DM and Lynette have got a pretty good friendship going.
Yeah, he narrows it out very quickly. He says Darrell is his boys, obviously not throwing him in. They do have a really good relationship. We need to save Wes and Casey and Tina and Kenny for the end because we can beat them if there's only going to be 3 other teams. Those are the teams we need to be going against. Someone else can go for Theo and Shonda because that's a strong team. We do not need them coming back and targeting us. That really leaves Shane and Lynette.
Yeah. Obviously, this is not what DM wants to do, but she's the fresh meat here. And you'll see over the course of challenge history, very often the newbie is going to not give in, but just like follow the lead of the vet who does know a little bit more about the game. And so that's what she does. And it doesn't really go over very well with the people that she, considered a friend and considered her a friend. So.
Yeah, Lynette says she doesn't deserve this. And to me, I'm like, well, no one deserves anything here. But I understand that she was playing it in the way of who merit-based goes in. But so by that metric, like if Derek and DM were doing the worst, would you have thrown them in still? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Aviv is a little bit on a high horse saying it was fucked up for DM to do. She can't believe it. But whatever.
DM does seem very upset about the fact that this had to happen. Tina ends up having to comfort her a little bit. She talks about in the next episode that she's purposely playing like the sad puppy with the tail between its legs. So I don't know if she was starting that here or if this was genuine emotion, but either way.
You know what? I think for DM, if you're going to piss off 2 people, let it be two people who never come back to the challenge for the rest of your career.
That's a great point. Yeah. So we have a little bit also going on here where Tina and Wes are talking a lot about, maybe we can do something, team up together and break apart some of the other numbers in the house. And the plan is, what if we try to vote in Theo and Shonda to get out a strong team here? Unfortunately for them, they are just fully kids caught doing something wrong by Father Durrell.
But like, who should care? Why should they care that they get caught?
They shouldn't. They absolutely shouldn't, because let's get to this deliberation. I have so many questions.
Yeah. So pretty quickly, we have Durrell saying like, I'm voting in the people that are snakes. Like they're going ahead and scheming and I know better than them. So I'm voting in Wes and Casey. And then Wes and Casey are like, we're not snakes. We're actually going to vote in Tina and Kenny. It's like, what?
This whole plan that they just put together. Oh, no, that wasn't a thing. And then like Tina and Kenny just as similarly, I guess like maybe this didn't feel like a real authentic deal, or they didn't trust each other as far as they could throw each other type of thing. And so neither of them were confident this was going to be a thing. And when Wes and Casey were like, LOL, JK, Tina and Kenny were like, haha, us too. The vote would have been, if both of those teams voted for Theo and Shonda, it would have been a tie. It would have been 2 votes on Wes and Casey, 2 votes on Theo and Shonda. I don't know how that gets broken at this point, but better to try it. Why did they just give up?
So I did Google and I got a Reddit thread from 8 years ago
Okay.
that I don't know how legit this is, but claims that it comes down to Tina and Kenny not wanting to look like they're in alliance with Wes and vice versa. At this point, Wes was 100% confident he could beat anyone in exile as much as he was campaigning to keep Johanna in the house. So in this instance, he threw his and Casey's vote away to make it look like they were not working with Tina and Kenny. He wanted to keep the mystery of exile in his favor, where no one knew exactly what it was. And so he wanted to go in himself to keep that, disguise the alliance. And as he does say here, why would he be worried about a gay guy and a skinny girl?
Right. Why worry about a gay guy and a skinny girl? What are you? Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, he's not scared. He's not scared of that gay guy and a skinny girl. Like, okay,
I ain't scared of that gay guy.
like, okay. Wes sucks.
He does suck.
The strategy's so bad too.
It is. Everything falls apart. It's stupid. It's dumb. Stupid.
Yeah.
all stupid. So there's that. Theo's hoping Lynette comes back. Obviously, this showmance has been talked about. So we'll see how that's going to go for them. I don't know. Casey's talking about DM's reasons for voting in Lynette. Lynette's still very upset that she's been put in, but we're about to see that confrontation head on between Lynette and DM. Anything else in episode 11?
Nope.
Just Theo taking a shower in the pool in the secret scene. He's brushing his teeth in there.
That is fair.
That's fair. That's what people do.
I would not personally.
Okay.
But I have known a person or two.
You spend a lot of time at a lake. Is anyone taking showers and baths and brushing their teeth in there?
Unfortunately, one of my friends has.
Okay, well,
not
maybe don't make that person your friend.
Yeah,
poor hygiene, but that's also not the barrier of friendship. Okay, fair enough. I don't want to know what they smell like.
Generally fine. Surprisingly.
Okay. Episode 12. My first question is: did you also, I assume, clock the 29-minute length of the episode, or did you watch it on Paramount Plus?
I did watch on Paramount Plus, and I immediately was like, I don't remember them doing extended episodes back in the day. That's not really how TV worked then.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess maybe we got a little bit of a bonus time here, only to discover it just repeats part of the episode for no reason.
Whoever put the edit together of these episodes ready to go on Paramount Plus, copy and pasted like the back 11 minutes and just pasted twice and then never deleted it. So you get to the end of the elimination and all that stuff, and then it just plays again. I was like, all right, well, I guess less to watch here for this part, but whatever. Lynette and DM are going to have a conversation about the vote. Lynette knows it was all Derek's fault, but she's still hurt about it. Again, as I mentioned, DM says that she's just acting sad on purpose, like she just didn't know and all this stuff, or nothing she could have done. Derek, on the other hand, is talking about how he, again, is trying to be smart and strategic for the first time. So you do feel like maybe they made some progress in this conversation. Like if there's anything going forward that DM can do to help Lynette out, maybe she will.
Yeah, and DM's like, "You're right. I should be a voice instead of just a follower. You're so right." And Lynette thinks she sees an opportunity. Is like, you guys are setting the order tomorrow. Please, just don't put us first. That's the only thing I ask. Give us a chance to win, and it will be all good.
I know you were talking as if you were DM just now, but I heard Vinny from BB27. I'm sorry, I'm just a follower. I don't know what I'm doing. Everyone controls me.
Fair.
Yeah. So Wes and Casey, of course, want to win the pardon. They want to send Darrell and Aviv in. Again, they got caught. Essentially, they want to punish the people who caught them. Theo and Lynette are cuddling. We'll see again if Lynette can stick around and form some more of a relationship here. Look, they seem attached, or she does.
I will say, usually we get Theo being like, "This is for the challenge. We're gonna move on. I'm not worried about this. Like, this is, she's a cool girl, but we'll be friends." Theo, for the first time, is talking about like, we're gonna see what happens after the show.
He wants to go on that Costa Rica trip. And
Uh,
no, but it seems like they do genuinely like each other. So
yeah.
we'll see. Or maybe we won't, because I don't think it goes anywhere, but I also don't know.
Mm.
Maybe they stayed together for a month or two. Or more. Anyway, next challenge here is called Jump Down Under. They are jumping from the top of a cliff, right? Basically, it's very high up. They describe it as the height of a 4-story building. Once you get into the water off this cliff, you are going to climb up upon this device that is called a super launch. It's like one of those things. I thought they were going to jump into the super launch because it looked like one of those like blown up things that catches you when you jump into something. But anyway, they jumped into the water, climb on the super launch, have to get up and over it, grab their flag, swim to their poles in the water to lock in their time. And they're playing for some Oakley sunglasses with an MP3 player in them.
Ooh.
I need a pair.
Yeah, I could still use these.
Yeah, 100%. Derek and DM are going to pick the order. And as you mentioned, the one thing Lynette wants is to not go first.
Yeah, so when we see the list, Shane and Lynette are definitely going first.
Yeah. It's not just like, we're thinking about it like the entire time that we see this list. There's a nice drawn 1 next to their name.
Yeah, first one on the board. Shane and Lynette, 1.
You're up.
And DM says, when she got ganged up on, it felt like it was more strategy than genuinely trying to mend a friendship. So why should she do anything here?
Yeah. Doesn't seem like that friendship was as solid, at least in DM's eyes, as it was in Lynette or Aviv, or maybe even if it wasn't in their eyes as well, they are pretending like it was. So DM's not falling for it. She's following on to what Derek has planned out for their game. And there's that. So Shane and Lynette are going to go up first. It's a very slippery, whatever this thing, what's it called? The super launch. Yeah. Very slippery, very hard to navigate. Darrell described it as the way that you have to like crawl across it feels like you're sneaking around, almost like he's back home, sneaking girls into the house, and it's causing some flashbacks.
Yeah, they are like, you'd think you have to move quickly to balance this out, but if you move too quick, the whole thing just basically flips. So you have to really time your movements well, go very slowly, balance things out using your partner's weight as well. And so some of the earlier teams don't figure this out.
Right. And some teams just don't compete. For the 4th time in this batch of episodes, Wes and Casey not going to go.
I'll give it to Wes. This was Casey this time. She straight up says, I'm not jumping. It's 4-story. Like, was it 40 stories? 4 stories? 4 stories. 4 stories? 40 stories.
4-story building.
Yes, 4-story building, 40 feet. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, like who wakes up and decides to jump off a 4-story building? Not normal people. Normal people don't do this. I'm sorry. Like, she is just going into a total rant of how stupid and crazy this is. And you know what? It was silly at least, so I'll give it a pass.
I will not give this to Wes, because the reason Casey was doubly nervous is because she thought Wes was going to push her off. Casey is sitting there the whole time, and Wes had said at one point, I don't know if that was like behind her back and she heard it or whatever, but he said he will push her off if necessary. And she's out there looking at how far down she needs to go. She's afraid of the jump, and she's afraid that the man behind her, who calls her all these names and is so mean to her and never even kind of encouraging, instead of trying to help and encourage her, is going to push her off the cliff.
Okay, fair point.
No credit to Wes. Casey does
Fine.
back out, says she's not doing it. And again, like if Wes even a little bit was like, look, I understand, but we can do this. We can, like a good partner is, especially today, people know to be a good partner and that helps you and your partner. Whatever. They don't do it. They DQ. Shane and Lynette come in fifth. Theo and Shonda in fourth. Darrell and Aviv in third. Tina and Kenny in second. And another win here for Derek and DM.
Yeah, look at this. They're heating up, actually pulling through some good wins and locking in those Oakleys.
Yeah, I'm jealous. So no changes in this Exile matchup. So far this season, no changes, right? I don't think any of them have been replaced. The elimination matchups.
Not one.
No, crazy. So Lynette obviously is pissed off. I think especially she would like to not be going home before DM. At this point, now that's the enemy. She's upset with her. But let's go to Exile.
Let's go to Exile. What happens?
Not much, but Wes and Casey win again.
Yeah, and Shane and Lynette put out a good fight. Like they do start out ahead, but Wes then takes all of Casey's bags just so she can just run up the hill. And that really is the difference maker. Shane does a really good job with, I think, 3 out of 4 bags, but it is tough to keep up once they actually get into it. No one does any of the puzzles successfully. And, I think this was probably the closest that Wes and Casey have come to losing, being that they would have genuinely just straight out lost if other teams had remembered their flags in the past, but the closest actual finish, I would say.
And again, Wes and Casey, 113 pounds. That's basically nothing. Shane and Lynette, not that high as some of the other teams. There are no Tanya and Johnny, but 171 pounds.
Yeah,
so,
much different.
Still a big difference. I just don't understand. Like Shane comes into this with the confidence of like, oh, we're obviously going to send them home. They've sent home 4 teams. What makes you think you're not going to be next?
Yeah, both like Shane here and Tina, like they really talk up the other teams as if like both of their reactions to the teams they are facing confuse me. Where Tina and Kenny were talking about like we were the underdogs, like we were definitely going to lose to Katie and Eric, and I was like, I don't feel like that was necessarily the case. I understand that they had like some knowledge coming into here, but I feel like you guys were kind of the favorites. But and whereas Shane here as the losing team is talking about how it was so obvious they were always going to beat Wes and Casey, but they've been dominating the Exiles. I know that they have been just absolutely flopping in every single daily, so it's giving some false confidence to some of these teams, but it's leaked by this point that the luggage has something to do with it. You should know this is a problem.
I just look, I know Wes is going to take all the credit for this because he's Wes and he sucks and all that stuff, but like Casey Cooper starting off her challenge career 5-0 right now, like legend.
Yeah, this is who I was rooting for to keep the record when it's like, oh, is Horacio going to beat the record? I'm like, you can't take Casey Cooper's record. Like she's 5-0.
That's totally fair. I just feel like I'm sorry to Coral or Veronica, whoever that's about to come off, because Casey Cooper and her 5-0 elimination record is about to go onto the Mount Rushmore. So that's going to be tough to figure out. Lynette is pretty annoyed that she's going home. She says 2 people with no heart for the game just won the Exile. I feel like she's very wrong for that, at least on Wes's part. Wes is a lot of things and sucks, but has a lot of heart for the game.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm just also like, boo-hoo, whatever. Like that's the type of thing where like I enjoyed Lynette fine, but the like moral superiority high ground is where you're gonna lose me.
But yeah, she's upset. She also didn't get to say goodbye to Theo or her friend Aviv. And so we get back to the house with Casey and Wes, and Casey's like laughing with everybody. Like she said, we don't have any heart for this game. That's crazy. Get her out of here. So
Casey post winning an Exile is my favorite Casey. She's so funny.
She is. She's got all the confidence in the world. She's lying. She's this, she's that. Lynette, as we mentioned, will never return to the challenge.
No. That's it for Lynette. And I was kind of surprised. I feel like she has a decent run in her here. There were lots of spots open. I don't know why it just didn't happen.
Well, we'll talk about this again when we actually say goodbye to Theo, but I believe this is also curtains for Theo.
This is it for Theo as well.
I do believe that is the case. Now I can't find him on my freaking chart to confirm that, but that feels correct, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no. I know that's the case. Yes. And where Shane goes home, this is not it for Shane, but Shane takes a big long break to the point where we thought we were done with him. He does not come back for a long stretch.
Yeah, calling it a break feels generous. It seemed like he was just done. Whether it was him given a break or whatever the deal was of what he was up to in between, he's not back until Invasion. And this is season 12. Invasion is season 29.
Yeah, so a good 17 season layoff for Shane.
Which we would be saying is crazy if not for Aviv.
Yeah, exactly.
So there is that. Look, Shane's been a lot of fun through the times that we've had him, or actually, let me say like a good amount of fun. Like if it was a lot of fun, I think he would continue to be on the show, but maybe just like we're not seeing it all. And I definitely feel like the Shane that we get in the back half, like when he will come back for up until even now, is much more of a worthwhile presence on the show than what we have right now.
I think Shane was fun. Like I always remembered Shane. He was never someone that got lost in my memory. So a pretty decent character all the way through.
I mean, right now he's just the gay guy, and now he'll come back and he'll be the villain, which is a whole different role. A gay villain, a very important character.
We rarely have those.
Very rarely. So yeah, Casey back at the house, or actually they go out for the night. Casey's feeling nice and confident. Every time she wins, she feels better and better. And Aviv is telling us how she wants to keep her friends close, enemies closer, and DM, I guess, has become that enemy.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that does end up playing out. It's not as if, the rookies get much say anyway. So is Darrell going to let Aviv really do anything about that, considering he and Derek are super close? I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably not. Let's check in before we get to, of course, part 4 coming up next week. We talked about in part 2, maybe some, just keeping an eye on maybe Tanya, maybe Johanna for the season's Mount Rushmore. But what about these 6 players? Katie and Eric, and you think going to be in any kind of consideration?
I think they were very fun players. I think them as a duo is probably greater than the parts themselves, but I don't know if I'm looking at Mount Rushmore.
Right. Well, let me jump over a different team. Shane and Lynette, anywhere on the radar?
I would say that Shane was fun, but maybe not a lot of fun, as you were saying. So I think that Shane and Lynette, unfortunately, probably not hitting the Mount Rushmore for this season.
Yeah, not quite their season. But the other team here that's gone in this episode, I don't know. We'll see how the rest of it goes, but in my mind, could be in contention. And that is both Coral and Evan. They dominated through the early couple of episodes. Evan and his injury were such a big storyline. Coral is Coral. So maybe, question mark?
Nah, for me, they're absolutely in contention. I think that a big storyline coming out of this season is Coral and Evan's domination and what could have been. So I'll definitely be thinking about them when we're talking about Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I mean, definitely both of them push, the Tanyas and Johannas much further down the list if they weren't already further down the list. But we will see. Still, how many teams left here? We still have to get rid of
5?
2 more teams. Yeah, 5 teams total. 2 more teams are going to get eliminated before we get to the final, of which the final 3 teams will run the final. And we'll talk about all of that. Confessional check-in before we go. I'm so surprised Wes is still at the top.
Oh, whoa. Yeah. Wes and Casey still dominating. Tina has pulled up, almost tied with Casey, but then we start dropping off a lot more.
Yeah, Evan and Coral with, one less episode than some of these other people, still, though, towards the top of the list. You look at the bottom of the list, and I got to point out another instance of this unfortunate trend that we are finding in these early seasons. Aviv, Shonda, Darrell, all at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Specifically Shonda and Aviv, who have 13, Aviv has 13, Shonda has 14 confessionals, a small jump up to get to Darrell and his 18. But then, you're looking at everybody else kind of in the mix of 20 to 30 confessionals, but it's just a pretty big difference. And again, Aviv all the way at the bottom. I feel like Aviv is going to be one to watch going into part 4, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So there is that. You having fun with Fresh Meat?
I am enjoying Fresh Meat quite a bit. Yeah, this is a season that I have fond memories of, and maybe like am I partially swayed by my memories and the nostalgia. Like, I think that's definitely possible. So I am curious to hear, once we start putting this in the rankings, start talking about the Mount Rushmore, how much of like my memory and my current enjoyment lines up with yours and maybe even a guest. But I'm very much enjoying it.
Yeah, right now, looking at the top of our rankings, it's the Inferno 2, Battle of the Sexes, Gauntlet 2, like a bunch of seasons that I know we had a lot of fun with. And I think I'm having fun with this one. I don't know. I think, no, I am, but I don't know if I'm getting like the exact same like thrill of every episode that I am with some of those other seasons. Obviously, still a couple of more episodes, so I'm not like, ready to lock anything in. Obviously,
Okay.
we'll get there, but I would say like I have been enjoying, just not sure if it's going to reach like that all top tier pantheon. We'll see.
Sure.
Okay.
We will see.
We'll see. But until next time, of course, we are covering the Challenge 41 every single week here on the podcast. One more week of this pre-agent series before we pause down for some amazing race coverage this fall. Otherwise, I'm on the Diary Room podcast every week with Aman Adwin talking Big Brother and talking all things Dancing with the Stars, season 34 with Sasha Joseph on the Rob as a Podcast Network. We know Dancing with the Stars. Check us out over there. Scally, what about you?
Ooh, myself and Kirsten are starting up talking about Love Island games very soon, I believe. So go check that go check that out over on the We Know Love Island feed. And then, we're here talking about the challenge. I'm on social media, all of the places. So go find me.
5-star ratings and reviews, always welcome. Always, always, always welcome. Especially if you are listening to this series, it means that you really care about either the challenge or us or this podcast. And so if you haven't already given us a 5-star rating and review specifically on the Apple Podcast feed, we would so greatly appreciate it. It helps us a lot to just stay at the top of these podcast feeds and searches and all that kind of stuff. Also, of course, patreon.com/the Free Agents Podcast for all of our bonus episodes. Every single week, we're talking bonus stuff in the world of the challenge and other reality shows that are currently airing, whether it be your Big Brother, Survivor, or anything else out there that comes our way. So I think that is going to do it for now. Thank you all so much for checking out another one here. We'll be back to close out fresh meat very soon, like Scally said, hopefully expecting to be with the guest. So that'll be very soon. But until then, take care, and we hope to see you all in the future.